it is Sunday, which means it is Chiefs Sunday.
Woo,
But I can't get
football.
yeah, but I can't get the channel because they changed the map. So I just have to look at updates on the TV. I can't actually watch the game.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Nice.
record instead.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yes,
Hell
I'm very
yeah.
excited. And my girl Taylor is there. She's wearing a very cute two-piece skirt suit. Not that anyone
Hmm.
really cares, but I care a little
Yeah,
bit.
of course.
Of course. Hi guys, it's Stacia.
Hey guys, it's Jordan.
Let's get completely
Woo!
checked out. Whoop
Okay,
whoop whoop.
cool. So we're going to start off with me this time around with the second part of the first book,
I'm literally
Hounded
so
by
excited.
Thorns.
I was so invested in
Mm-hmm.
this, and I was talking about this series with a friend today, and I was like, I'm still not loving the Beauty and the Beast coded. However, I'm still very invested, and I'm very much looking forward to where in the world this is going to go
Yeah.
because it's going to go a lot of places. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't guess. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. So where we kind of left off was basically that, she finds out all the guys are wolves
Hmm.
and she tried to make it up to Kel with, by reading him a story, eating dinner with him, whatever, in his room as his wolf. And she woke up to find Snow next to her bed. So now we're in POV of Kel. Okay. So
Fun.
this is a week later. So far, if you want to keep track of like how long she's been in the Fae realm, it has been a
Yeah.
month and a week by at this point. Okay.
Holy cow.
Which is a long time.
Is anybody wondering where she's at? Like,
So technically her dad is in the human realm, so far as we
yeah.
know, because of what Marigold and Astrid said, like whatever Kel promises he will do. So as far as we know, that is where her dad is. So he could be looking for
Okay.
her, especially because he knows the Fae realm exists and he was able to get there once. So we
Yeah, I
know he's
mean,
crazy and wants to get back there.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
But we also know Lucas crawled through the briar bush with her.
Oh,
And he
see
didn't
where this
chase
is
after her.
going.
He ran away, obviously, because he was
Loser.
nowhere to be found. So technically, two people do know the Fae realm exists because they've been there, and both of those people know that she's in the Fae realm. So,
Okay.
but no one has come that's human. Okay.
Okay. Heard. Okay.
So, in this POV of Kel, we are going to learn that the princes have stewards for their realms. So basically, they
Okay.
have a sit in person at their realm right now, kind of handling all of their stuff for ruling. Okay. Like whether
Yeah.
it's, winter, spring, autumn, summer, each of them had picked someone to oversee everything.
Okay. That makes
And
sense.
yeah, so Kel is actually talking to his steward right now, who is the only steward that is allowed to go to Castle Tree, and his name is Perth Quellos. Okay,
What a name.
what a name for this guy. Have you ever watched The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I have not. I'm a terrible Disney adult.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
So I, the way that Perth is described, and they'll call him Quellos throughout the book. So just they call him by his last name. But I think he looks like the church guy, the pastor, whoever in
Uh,
Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like
Evil
that's
man.
exactly, yeah, that's exactly who I pictured for what Perth
Ooh.
looks like. Okay.
Okay. I'm with it.
So he's the visor for the Winter Realm, which is basically, and also the steward. So the visor, he was his dad's visor while he was the High Prince of
Hmm.
Winter. And then when his dad passed it on to Kel, then he just kept Quellos because he was like, oh, if my dad trusts you, I also trust you, whatever.
Mm.
But it is really clear that Quellos wants to rule Winter himself. He's been
Well,
doing it for 25 years
mm-hmm.
alone. He was Kel's right hand man
Mm-hmm.
before the curse, and then he was his dad's right hand man for however long that was for. But honestly, he sucks. He's a dick.
Yeah.
He does not respect Kel at all, but he is still respectful in the sense of like, you're still High Prince, whatever. But Rose hears Kel talking to Quellos, okay? And she sees him and she brought like a tray of cookies or whatever. And she was also eavesdropping, of course.
I mean,
as she loves to do.
Well, yeah.
And basically, Quellos is like, who is that? And then Kel just like shoos him away through the door. And Rose is like, I know how to use that door. Okay. Because she's like, oh, what did that door do? Whatever, blah, blah. He's telling her it basically works like the door in Hal's Moving Castle. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So how it has dials.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn the dial, whatever, but only the princes can turn the dial. But she can turn the dial.
I wonder what that means.
Yep. And Kel is like, whoa, that's interesting. He keeps that to himself.
He keeps that to himself.
She does note on the dial that there's 5 instead of 4 options.
Confident with that guess?
Yeah. Sorry. No.
Anyway,
not it's a rose.
It's a rose. Amazing.
It's a rose, yeah. Yeah. We don't know yet. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The end of like this chapter of Kel's POV, she said he's watching her. Her smile gleams like the first snowfall, he says. And then she says, well, all my snooping has given me a wonderful idea for how to break the curse. Before I can say anything else, she waltzes away. I sighed. I let her hope. The way Farron has hope, the way Dayton and Ezrin cling to their shreds of it. But I know the truth. For me, there will never be a way to break this curse.
Oh.
So he is very like, nothing is ever going to happen to break this curse. For me,
very glass half empty of him, but okay.
Yeah. So then it switches to Rose's POV. And they're at breakfast of that same day. Okay. So she notes that, they're at breakfast, but this isn't the first time they're doing breakfast together. They started doing group dinners and now they're doing group breakfasts. And she notices that Ez is only there half the time. The other half he's missing. And that Dayton is always wasted. Like he's just always drunk.
Okay? Oh my God. This man.
Yeah. He is really, really bad. Okay. And she's really spending most of her time with Farron researching and like doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So she notes that the scariest thing of all of this is that the more time I spend here, the less I feel like a prisoner and more like a member of the household, desperate to break this curse. So she's feeling like I'm at home here, basically, but she doesn't want to admit that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving, this is my cynical horror aspect coming in, but it's giving Stockholm syndrome, which is fine. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Farron is not the worst guy. And if she's spending all of her time with him, like it is obvious that she's going to feel comfortable with him and they have a lot of the same interests, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is too, is like, I need to break this curse to be free. So that's like the underlying motive. But she is enjoying herself. She likes Astrid and Marigold and she likes Farron.
Yeah, it's the same thing with, I mean, it's the same thing that happened in Beauty and the Beast. So it's like the same storyline, which I do love. I am following that.
Yeah. Good. So during this breakfast, Dayton asks what everyone's doing for the full moon. Okay. So we learn then that this is the one night, obviously, that they don't turn into wolves. And they can actually go and do stuff. So fun. Of course, in Ez fashion, because Ez is there for this one morning, he'll actually be turning into his wolf, of course, on the one night that he doesn't have to. He will be turning into the wolf and eating and killing goblins, okay? So that's how he'll be spending his full moon.
I guess I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum, but... Like, and Ezrin is the spring realm, correct?
He is the spring, and he is also the one that no one can see his face. He's always in full armor.
Yep. Yes. Yep, okay, I remember. Yep.
Yeah, so Dayton is basically going to Summer and hanging out over there, and we learn that his sister is the one that is steward. Okay. And she's younger than him, but she's very smart, whatever. She's doing a really good job. And Farron is going to go to the Autumn Realm, and Kel isn't going to do anything because he's basically like a boring, depressed man at this point. Like he's just,
oh my
he doesn't
God.
care. So basically, Dayton starts busting Kel's balls, and Ez is defending him. So Ezrin says, you should watch your tongue when you speak to the Winter Prince. He was given the sword of the Protect. And then Dayton cuts him off. Yes, a lot of good that did us all. And then then he says, Kel screwed us all over. For what? To lie with the shadows. And then Kel says, enough. Slams his hands down on the table and basically just like sends out his winter magic because he's so pissed. And then Rose is kind of like diffusing the tension by explaining the theory she has on finding their mates. And she mentions how, something is likely to trigger the mating bond, blah, blah, blah. Potential triggers for awakening the bond could involve incident with you or your mate, like near death. Any intense emotion from either within a certain proximity could do it. Proximity is something Farron and I have been researching. From what I can tell, it's not endless. I'm not sure about the magic of this castle, but I don't think your bonds will reach your realms. So this is where her idea comes in, okay? She thinks that the curse has caused their mating bonds to lie dormant within them. So she wants to throw a ball in every realm, okay?
You know what?
For all of them, okay? You'll dance with women, you'll dance with men, like you'll see what the vibe is, and hopefully, it'll be great. But obviously the one caveat has to be a day party.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Cannot be. No, it's fine.
But day makes sense because, you don't want to meet women in your wolf form.
Exactly. So Kel wants no part of it, obviously. But Ezrin and Dayton are down. Farron's already down because Farron has already heard this idea. So obviously Kel is like, no. But Ezrin and Dayton are like, sure.
Kel is such a Debbie Downer.
Yeah. And he basically shot her idea down like really, really hard.
What a dick.
And Rose storms out of the breakfast area and Dayton follows her. And he's basically like saying like, what's up? And she's like, Kel's touching on the subject of mates. And she's like, why is that? And Dayton goes, listen, Kel had a great love. Okay. And to say it ended poorly would be the fucking understatement of the century. And then she asked, was his great love also his mate? And he's like, I fucking hope not. So we're like, okay. He's like, but no, I don't think so. And she's like, what happened to her? And then he's like, enough questions. For Moon's sake, Blossom, that's his nickname for her. Are you crying? And she's like, no, it's only how am I supposed to help you all if Kel won't even try? And Dayton just sighs, puts his arm around her, pulls her in for like a hug. And she comments that he smells like the sea air and sunshine. And a sense of calm washes over her. And he's like, if I had a heart, I understand why Kel isn't so eager to find his mate. But since I'm clearly delusional and incapable of feeling, I agree with you. Keldarion is a massive prick, and if I have to keep giving my nights up to that asshole golden wolf for the rest of my life, I'll likely kill him one day. So Dayton's like, fuck that guy. Like, we'll do whatever.
Yeah.
So Rose asks Dayton to bring her to the summer route. She's like, please let me go.
Poor girl.
Yeah. So Dayton originally says no, but she starts busting his balls.
Good.
And is like, fine, I guess you really are Kel's pup. Like, you just follow what he says and you don't have a brain for yourself, like kind of vibe that she's going for. And Dayton steps in front of her and is like, now who would say such a cruel thing about me? Because that's exactly what the Prince of Thorns said. So she says that.
Whoa.
And then he's like, when I found out he'd been here, found out how he'd gotten so close to you. And she's like, what? And he goes, Kel should have killed him for coming so close. And she's like,
Ooh,
oh, interesting. So they had a little slow burn moment there.
so many slow burns.
Yeah. So they end this conversation with him basically saying, meet me by the mirror or the door. The mirror, sorry. And dress for a warm night. We're going to my realm after all. He's so cocky.
Ooh, yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna go to the summer realm together, and he has Marigold dress her in like summer clothes. So now we're in the summer realm, and she and him are like kind of like walking around this kind of market where there's a bunch of vendors. She sees this like lion-esque animal as a stuffed animal, and she really wants it. And she begged him to get it for her. And he does, of course.
How sweet.
Yeah. And then he shows her this like Sun Coliseum where all of the best heroes are made, so he says. And it's basically a fighting arena. And it's a really big honor to fight in this arena. And he's fought there many times, which is why he has like all those like nicks and cuts and scars on his body.
I have a question before we go further. I just have a question about the mapping of this place, just because. So they all have their realms. I'm guessing they're all different lands.
Yes.
And in the middle is Castle. I can't remember.
Castle Tree.
Castle Tree, yes.
Yeah.
And then the middle, and that's where they all live. But they all do have. Okay. That's what I'm just making sure of. Okay.
Heard. So sorry. The way I kind of had it in my head, if Castle Tree is the center of the realm, then each of the four have like 4 quadrants. Okay.
Yes.
However, you can't see the realms from Castle Tree. Okay. But when you're in the realm, you can see Castle Tree. Like you could walk there. What a way to do that. It's very interesting. Yeah. It's supposed to like provide the realms like some sort of security, knowing that their high princes are just right over there. Like you can see them type of vibe.
It's kind of, unfortunately, what I picture in my head, and this is such a, I don't know if this is like a Disney adult thing or what, and I hate that I keep thinking of Disney movies.
Oh my God.
Do you ever see Tinkerbell?
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, the tree in the middle, and then they all have
Pixie
their
Hollow tree, yes.
Yes, the Pixie Hollow tree, and then, you know, the different seasons around. That's kind of what I'm picturing.
Yeah, it's honestly like that.
But that's what my mind goes to. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've been picturing this whole time. I just want to make sure that that was somewhat accurate before we hop around the realms.
Yeah. It's just so, you know, if you're in Castle Tree, you cannot see the realms. All they see are briars. And you can't see any of the realms. But if you're in a realm, you can see Castle Tree.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm good on that. Sorry. Yeah. We are back to the stuffed lion.
Yeah. So cute. Yeah. But yeah, so then they enter a bar, and this is where they're going to hang out the rest of the time in summer. Okay. So she comments on how like the Fae in the summer realm aren't really fans of covering up. So I kind of equated this to the way that Feyre and Moore dressed anytime they went into the Court of Nightmares. Yes. Like very skimpy, like Moore was always in like 2-piece sets where her mid was showing. Like that's exactly the vibe of summer.
I mean, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Right. But she needs a gown with sleeves because of her marking of Lucas. Yes. So she was able to find a gown with like sleeves, but it was like, I pictured it as like an off shoulder. They kind of like connect here type of vibe. Yes. So, and it was like sleeves there. So her shoulders are kind of exposed. Yeah. She looks gorgeous, by the way. She's wearing purple and it's a slitted dress as well. So think of those like skirts where it's like double slit for the legs and there's like a piece in the middle. That's exactly what she's wearing. Okay.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah. She looks gorgeous. And then she has like a bunch of braids done. One of the other servants that's from the summer realm, Flavia, she actually did the hair for Rose. So it matched Summer and also to hide her ears a little bit. because obviously she's a
Oh,
human.
yeah. I keep
Yeah.
forgetting that.
Yeah. So she's human still, and she'll always be human because she's just human in the Fey realm.
Yes.
So they did her hair, so it kind of hides her things. But then we get a good old description of what Dayton's wearing. So I'm gonna read this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hunker in. Okay, go.
Yeah. His white tunic fits closely to his hard body, and loose brown trousers leave little to the imagination. His only adornment is his seashell necklace that caresses his chest and a short sword hanging from his belt. Even without the gilded finery of a prince, Fae around us swoon in appreciation of Dayton's perfect form. Though his clothing is plain, his beauty radiates from within, igniting an undeniable spark. So also keep in mind, his chest is exposed. Like he's wearing a shirt, but let's say he's uncut, like unbuttoned a couple buttons. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's
Just a
showing off.
couple.
Yeah, just a couple.
Unfortunately, when I hear seashell necklace, I'm also thinking puka shell necklace.
No, okay, so I also thought that it's
Okay, cool.
basically like a chain, and he has like a couple shells dangling from it. And one of
Okay.
them we'll learn later is the blessing. So they
Okay.
can use to open portals to get back on like they do it in this summer realm. So we'll get
Okay.
to that. But
Perfect.
that's the main shell on his
So
necklace.
I was like,
So
girl,
it's
I don't
not
know
a
if I
puka.
can
Yeah,
be
not a
attracted
puka
to a guy with a puka.
necklace.
I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone who wears puka shell necklaces, by the way. It's just not my thing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a Fey prince and he's wearing a fucking puka shell necklace, please.
Yes, that's true.
No thanks. So yeah, they are in the bar. They are
Okay.
sitting in like a booth situation, and he goes and gets them Fey wine. Okay. And we all know, if you've read Akatar, that Fey wine does something to humans. Okay.
Yes.
So
He's strong.
yeah. So now they start drinking. Dayton asks her if she has a man back in Orca Cove.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, kinda. And she explains the Lucas situation. And Dayton starts grilling her. Like he is clearly jealous. Yeah.
He's gonna go kill him.
Yeah. He's like pissed. He's fuming.
Oh, but once
Yeah.
like she starts saying like, "Hey, you want to hear about all the way he's abused me?" Then he's really gonna.
Oh, you think she's gonna talk about that? No, bitch.
That's true. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, she might not talk about it now, but he's gonna find out and he's gonna be
Oh,
pissed. They're all are.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's no way.
They're
It's
gonna
murder.
see his name on her wrist sometime, but not
That'll
yet.
be interesting. Okay, sorry.
So
So
yeah.
continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So he keeps calling her Blossom. Obviously, that's his
Oh,
nickname for
so
her, which is
cute.
just so cute. But also, she is wasted. Okay.
Ooh.
He asked her, "Oh, can you like hold your liquor?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah." And in her mind, she's like, "I'm pretty sure that last New Year's Eve, I had 2 sips of champagne and I was on the floor throwing up." Okay. So she's a lightweight. She's drinking Fey wine glass after glass after glass. So he ends up getting her food and is just, she's eating and watching. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Dayton comes back from the bar and she starts asking him about his relationship with Farron. And he cuts her off because, like, cuts her off and also is like, "I'm cutting you off from Fey wine. Like, you are way too
Oh,
drunk. Here's water." So he's not answering the question about
but that's
Farron.
rude. You can't grill her about Lucas and then not answer any questions about. You know what? It's
Of
fine. You know what?
course, of
Yeah,
course.
I don't care if she's drunk.
Um,
Answer the question.
right. So she starts drinking water and then she's like, "Oh, I really want to dance. Like, you also need to like get out there and whatever." But he is like flirting with her the entire night. And
Well,
she
yeah.
keeps thinking, like, "Oh, no, he really doesn't like me. He's just being nice. Like, he's just trying to make me feel comfortable and whatever." But now we're in POV of Dayton. And I have a couple things to read from his point of view because he is fighting some demons. Okay.
Ooh, yes.
So he's flirting with her, and then he's like cutting it off, like, "I'm not flirting with you," type of thing. Okay. So here's his POV.
Okay.
"I just didn't realize how hard it would be. Like when she'd first taken off that cloak and I'd seen what she was wearing, how little she was wearing. I wanted to take her straight to a room so no one else could lay eyes on her. Seeing her in the clothes of the summer realm, my realm, awoke something primal in me.
Oh,
I wanted to... No. Anything I wanted to do to her was a betrayal to Kel, an even worse one than if I let her go. He told none of us to touch her. And if it was for the reason we all suspected, okay? The only fucking logical reason for any of this, then I couldn't. It doesn't mean she can't have some fun on her own. So he's basically letting her out and trying to maybe flirt with some fae men from the summer realm. Maybe kiss a little, maybe hook up a little, whatever. Because he's also trying to do that. He's also trying to like maybe find someone too.
I feel like this is fueling a possible theory I had after we had finished the episode. I think it was after the episode, correct?
Yeah.
I kind of shared some theories without Jordan giving me any spoilers just because I wanted to share my thinking. And I feel like this is fueling one of those theories a lot. And I'm not going to lie, I might actually be upset if that theory doesn't come true. I'm not going to lie to you. So, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So he's watching her right now. And she is surrounded by probably 4 or 5 fae men. One's giving her food, one's giving her drinks, one's like massaging her, one's laughing and like she's touching his arm because she's laughing so hard, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
The dream.
But she keeps glancing over at him, okay? And he has a fae woman on his lap, kissing on him and like touching on him and like, hey, pay attention to me type of like thing. And he's feeling some type of way, but not for this fae woman. He's feeling it for Rose, okay?
Yeah.
But then she sees that a male kisses Rose and he is fighting his demons, okay? He says, anger ignites in my chest. Yeah, no shit, babe.
No shit.
No shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Rosalina pushes him. Let me go. She crosses the room, but the fae male follows her. I thought you wanted that, he slurs. I changed my mind. Relief floods my chest, and the wolf settles down. I haven't, the fae male growls. He pulls Rosalina to him. The braids in her hair fall out, exposing her round ears. A human? So we're not fucking done. I pushed the crowd out of the way to get to her. Okay? The fae male doesn't stop and won't stop at no until Dayton shows up, starts fighting this guy, and cuts off this guy's hand.
Oh my god.
In the middle of the bar. Okay?
Can you say territorial?
And he's like slicing this guy's hand off, okay?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. He grabs her after all that stuff happens. He says some mean shit to that guy. And then everyone's like, oh, like, why did he do that?
As he should.
But they run and he uses the...
Men like that are trash.
Oh, yeah. He uses a shell necklace he angles it from the light of the moon, points that shine against a wall, and a portal creates. And that's how they get back to Castle Tree. Okay?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's what that necklace.
Yeah. All their little blessing necklaces can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love.
So we're in Dayton, still Dayton's point of view. We're back in the castle. We're in like the lobby main room area. Okay.
Okay.
He's like, now he can't touch anyone else against their will, at least not as easily. And she's like, well, I'm sorry you didn't get your carefree night. One of her sleeves has slipped down and I reach to pull it up. I didn't want any of them anyway. Her hand clasps over mine before I can pull away. And damn if the contact of her skin isn't lighting another sort of fire inside me. I don't understand what happened to your eyes. You seemed so... No one treats you that way, Rosalina. And if I didn't get out of there, I would have torn every one of them apart. Then my beast would have shown up and finished the job. Like, okay.
So territorial.
And
but
they're close together. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
She looks up at me with those big brown eyes, and I'm fucking gone. She says his name, Day. I pull her towards me and kiss her with everything I have.
Ooh.
Finally, someone has kissed Rose.
I was about to say, is that the first person to do so? Oh my gosh.
That is the first person to kiss her.
All this tension, finally.
Yep. Okay.
But
we're back in POV Rose.
okay.
All right. This bitch starts getting some, okay? They're hooking up in the main entrance hall still, okay? He's pushed her up against the wall. Okay? He picks her up and pushes her up against the wall. He makes her come by his just some fingies, okay?
Okay.
And they've been going at it, I would say, like in book, to not give like any like specific details, they're probably hooking up for maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Like we're probably hitting the 20-minute mark around this time.
They are playing a very dangerous game right now.
Yep. They do get interrupted.
By who?
Day. A stunned voice calls from the top of the stairs. I whip my head to see Farron standing there, hair mussed and face flushing with stunned sadness. Suddenly, a bright light shines over us. The mirror glows, and Ezrin runs through. Black blood splatters on his helm and his armor, because he was just out fighting goblins. He stalks forward and growls, "What have you done?" Okay. This was right after she has orgasmed. Okay.
Oh my God.
They're all coming. All right. Oh. Ezrin pulls Dayton off of Rose.
Okay.
Starts punching him. Farron tries to break it up, but he ends up getting thrown to the floor by Ezrin. And Dayton loses it after that. He's like, "Fuck you." Like, just they start fighting. Crazy shit happens. And then Kel shows up. And Keldarion is wearing some tight black shirt and pants with his long white hair cascading over his shoulders. And he has fury written all over that face. Okay?
Yep. That's what I was scared of.
Yep. And he starts using his winter magic to break up the fight between Ezrin and Dayton. And Ezrin goes over to Kel and kneels before Kel because he's like, "You got this. Whatever. I'm going to let you have this." And Kel picks up Rose, brings her to the winter wing after telling Ezrin, "You handle Dayton and Farron." Okay. And what we don't know until we go into the POV of Farron is that he was really, really close to turning into his wolf.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. So we only know that because we're now in POV Farron, and he's trying to fight off his wolf, and Ezrin is like trying to calm him down. And he's also working his spring magic into healing him too. So Dayton's pissed. They both lost their shit. And he's like, "Kel would have never known. Like, it's not that big of a deal, whatever." Ezrin leaves.
You were like in the middle of the hole.
Yeah. Ezrin leaves, and it's just Dayton and Farron. And Dayton's like, "I'm going to bed. Aren't you coming?" Basically, because now they're going to hook up. But Farron actually punches Dayton in the face, okay? Because he's like pissed off at Dayton for doing that. But he's not pissed off at Dayton for hooking up with Rose. He's pissed off at Dayton because he got to Rose first, and he has been fighting those demons himself. Like in the library, you know, they had those couple moments. He's like, "What if I would have been the first one to kiss her? Like, what any of this would have happened if I would have done it?" Like type of stuff. So yeah, they go back to the summer wing and they go and do their thing. Okay. So now we're POV Rose again. And obviously she is wearing basically nothing. Okay.
Yes.
And there is something that happened during Dayton and Rose hooking up to where she needs a change of clothes. Okay.
Yes.
She needs more clothes because she did not come to his room with clothes she originally had on. Okay. So She's like, why did you bring me to your room? Like, why didn't you just bring me to my room? Like, I don't want to be here, whatever. She
Mm-hmm.
notices that his room looks even worse with the thorns and like there's like a bunch more destruction. So
Oh.
he gives her some clothes and is like, here, change. Okay. But he just gave her a big shirt. And this big shirt really isn't that big on her because she's not a tiny
Mm.
girl. Okay.
Yeah.
She's close in height to these guys. So he leaves the room so she can change. She sees that he has liquor on a bedside table, takes a shot of liquor. Okay. Who drinks
Oh
something
God.
randomly? Quite a lot of time has passed for her to be done changing. So he had opened
Yeah.
the door and saw her take the shot of whatever liquor was on his bedside table. And he explains one shot of this drink is like drinking two Fey wine bottles.
Oh
So she
no.
is
Girl.
obviously drunk again. Okay. And she's like, oh, what's that under your bed? And it's a sword. And she grabs at the sword and like brings it up and she's holding the sword now. And he's like, drop that right now, Rosalina. And she's like, this? It's a fucking sword. It looks like it's been crafted from ice. The blade is as clear and as cold as glass. So
Ooh.
we know this is his weapon. Like, this is
Yeah.
his weapon gift from the queen. Okay.
What an odd
Um,
place to keep that, but
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he starts explaining the sword to her, and she did say, I felt the magic course through my veins holding that sword. Like, there's a lot of magic in this sword.
Could also be the alcohol, but that's cool.
Yeah, it could be whatever. So he
I'm
tells her to
just kidding.
drop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, drop it, put it down, whatever. He kind of comes closer to her and she's like, you're always so grumpy, Kel. And why not? Surrounded by all these things day and night talking about the thorns. And she's like, that guy was a total creep, a hot creep, but a creep all the same, talking about the Prince of Thorns, Caspian, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, so she's like, he's hot, but he's a creep, but he's still hot, so whatever.
Sensitive
Okay?
topic.
Yep. And then she's like, why don't you prune them? Okay. And she takes the sword, because she never put it down, and swings at the briars. And he loses it. Okay. So she is grabbed by him after she swung
Mm-hmm.
because she broke it, and wall starts crumbling, ceiling starts crumbling. Okay. He pulls her, he tumbles with her, making sure that he's on top of her to like protect if there's any like stone falling, like he'll take the
Yeah.
brunt of it. And he explains to her that he can't take down the thorns because they just grow back and they grow back times two every
Oh,
time. Yeah. So,
girl.
yeah. Then he gives her pants because during their little kerfuffle, things were exposed. And
Yeah.
he could not help himself. And he was like, I'm fighting demons myself. And here's some pants. Okay. Then she's like, is it true you haven't had sex in 25 years?
Oh.
And Dayton, and he's like, Dayton says a lot of things as well as you know. And she's like, well, is it true? And he's like, and she's like, it's obviously not from. And then he goes, I'm a beast, Rosalina. The others might be willing to forget that fact, but I cannot. She's like, he also said you were in love before. I whisper, you shouldn't be ashamed to have loved, Kel. Love isn't a bad thing. You know what's bad? Hating someone, judging someone. Loving someone is actually quite nice in comparison. Love is good. And he goes, not when it comes to me.
Oh.
Oh, so sad. And she's like, I don't
Hell.
believe that. Yeah, so he's a little sad emo boy right now. He gets her water, tells her to drink it, and she's like, I'll make you another deal. Faye like bargains, right? And he's like, only the evil ones. And she's like, I'll drink this water if you go to the ball. He laughs, a low, soft rumble in his chest. Even for a human, that is terrible. You want me to return to the realm I have not visited in 25 years for an event I will loathe. For you to what? Drink a glass of water before bed? And she goes, exactly. Because she's still drunk.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
She's like, I want you to come to the ball. You want me to drink this. See, we both win. And he stares at me for a long moment before he whispers, drink. She drinks it. And then she says, come to the ball, Kel. And he goes, no one wants me there. And then she's like, I do. Isn't that enough? And he says, it is enough. I will go to your ball, Rose, but I will not find my mate there. So this is where you start to actually love Kel. He's just so like sad, but he's also sweet in a sense.
He's kind of throwing himself a pity party.
Oh my God, of course. But he's still hot.
That's true. It's okay to throw a pity party when you're hot.
Exactly.
They have promised that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're at the next morning. She woke up alone in his room and she has a slamming headache. Obviously, she's hungover.
No.
She starts scrambling for all her stuff because she's like, oh, fuck, walk of shame, basically, is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And as she is about to leave his room, he is entering the room with a tray of breakfast. Oh. He was going to bring her breakfast in bed.
How
but
sweet.
She immediately flees and she goes back to, or she is going back to her room, but she stumbles across the high tower door, which is the only place in the castle that she is not allowed to go. It is forbidden. But she sees it and she's like, but what if it's unlocked? And so she goes, and right when she tries the door handle, it is locked indeed. And Dayton is right there behind her and is like, hey, what over here? And then he starts apologizing and is like, I'm so sorry. Last night was a mistake. Like, I shouldn't have kissed you. I hope this doesn't ruin anything between us. Like, I really do appreciate like what you're trying to do for us and what your, friendship, whatever. She is obviously upset by that. She heads to her room where Astrid is laying out her clothes and she just bursts into tears.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And then she starts crying again when Marigold comes into the room with the same breakfast tray that Kel had in his hand.
Oh.
Yeah. So now she feels even worse and is crying again. And she's like, I understand my feelings for Dayton. The attraction, lust, and regret all make sense. But I don't dare dive into the part of my mind where I stashed my feelings for Kel. That is way more confusing. My captor who always brings me my favorite food, the vicious beast who also holds my hair while I vomit. So she was throwing up last night, and obviously he was taking care of her.
Oh my god.
Unlike some other Fae men we know.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. I went on a whole tangent to somebody in particular the other day about that. But yes.
Right.
Apparently. This poor girl.
Yeah. Okay. So now
she's in a kerfuffle.
Yeah. She's also fighting demons. So
we're back
in POV Kel, and Ezrin has gone to Kel's room.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Into High Tower. They're in High Tower right now.
Okay.
And Kel opens up with, do you know how many times I've come up here and hovered my hand over the petals, pictured crushing it in my fist, ending it all by my choosing? Because right now we are finally seeing the roses for each of our guys. Very similar to the rose for the beast.
Yes.
They each have their own roses. They're planted in a row of dirt instead of like a crystal thing, like how the beast. Yeah. So his rose is blue, sapphire blue. Ezrin is pink. Dayton's is turquoise. And Farron is orange. Okay. And Ezrin says, you speak of the temptation to destroy your flower and become a beast forever. He's like, is that not better than to live in this in-between world? When are we not men masquerading as beasts, but beasts masquerading as men? So they're getting into like some pretty deep shit because both Kel and Ezrin both have like demons that we don't know about yet, but we can just tell by the fact that Ezrin goes out and kills a fuck ton of goblins, and that's all he basically does. And Kel, obviously, we know that he had a great love. He no longer has that great love, and that has been his downfall.
Yeah.
Kel asks if they deserved the curse that the enchantress has put on them. And Ezrin said, of course.
I don't agree with that, but whatever.
They all had their things. So that's
true.
I'm leaving a lot out because a lot of it could be seen as spoilers. And I don't want, if you want to read this book, I'm not trying to give anything away, like in regards of their past until it actually makes sense in the story. But
makes sense.
Yeah. But basically, you know, Dayton fell into drinking. Farron hid in his keep when he became High Prince. Ezrin gave way to sorrow and rage. And I rubbed the aching bargain that wraps around my wrist. I betrayed the veil and everyone in it.
Oh.
So he does have two bargains. One with Rose.
Yes.
And one with someone else. I'm not describing what the bargain looks like, but he does have it with someone else, okay? So Ez is like, okay, let's talk about Rose now because clearly something happened.
Yeah.
He's like, Kel, we need to talk about Rosalina. And Kel's like, what about? And he's like, why did you take her to your chambers last night? And he's like, to keep her safe. And then Ezrin is like, you know you are more than the protector to me. I've stood by you and I will continue to do so through whatever darkness arises. You can tell me anything and I will not run from you. Is there a reason you are keeping Rosalina as a prisoner? Do you know something about her? And then all he says is, Ez, leave it be. Okay.
That's
and
annoying.
Then Ezrin says, did you make a bargain with Caspian? Okay. I grip the doorframe. Ez should lose his helm for talking to me so boldly. I should throw him to the ground and make him submit. How dare he ask me these things? How dare he mention Caspian's name? Ez, I say, but my voice does not come out as a command. It comes out broken. And as I turn to face my friend, the sun shifts beneath the horizon, and the beast shivers out of my flesh. Ezrin's monstrous form faces me, a black wolf of bone and fungus and churned earth. There's still hope for him to find his mate. Maybe that will break his curse. But as I lay upon the cold earth, his snout touching mine, his paw across my own, as if he could protect me from myself, I know there is nothing left for me, not since the Prince of Thorns took it all. So we have solidified that Caspian is the reason he is so fucked up and has that button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So even though he's hot, he's a creep, but he's a hot creep. Okay.
Yes.
We do time jump again a few more weeks.
Okay.
So realistically, we're coming up on 2 months of this girl being in the Fae realm.
So crazy.
And no one has come back to come and find her. Okay.
That's so crazy to me. It's like
insane.
There's like she's just gone for 2 months. Like, whatever. She'll come back.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and speed through this.
You're good.
Just because I know it is taking quite a while, but we are back in POV Rose. She's planning for the ball. She's been learning some like dances just in case. She's like, I probably won't dance, but if someone asks me, like, I want to be able to, know a little bit. So she has been talking to the staff mainly for the Winter Realm because that's where the ball is going to be held, the first one. Okay. And Farron kind of comments that you've made quite the impression on the staff. And, you're doing, so much more than just helping. It's like a light has returned back to Castle Tree. So as nice as Farron is, he is just so sweet and is so nice.
Yeah.
Caring for.
We love a sweetheart.
Yeah. So then after he's saying all these nice things, Rose is like, oh, fuck. Like, I need to tell you. I'm so sorry for kissing Dayton and like all that. And I just feel terrible. But she's like, but were you jealous when he brought that? But you were jealous when he brought that Fae woman to Castle Tree. I saw it. And when I kissed him, he goes, not just kissed him. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he's like, I already told you, Rosalina, You have nothing to be sorry for. And he enjoyed being a peeping Tom because we find out that he'd been standing there for a lot longer than he made himself known.
Ooh.
So he kind of did payback a little
I was about to say,
bit.
that was a very tit for tat moment.
Yes.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
Rose says, because she gets bold, she's like, it wouldn't be a true, like, got you back until Dayton walks in and watches us. So she's like, I mean, we can kiss maybe.
Everyone's just watching each other.
Yeah.
It's a formal invitation at this point.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. Ugh.
I love it.
So now we are POV Ezrin, and we have done another time jump. I would say it's probably about a week because now we're at the winter ball. Okay.
Okay.
Dayton comments that Ezrin looks like he has a stick up his ass. Okay. Like he is stiff. He's like uncomfortable and is like, come on, just like put in a little effort to enjoy this. Like just for Rose, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I don't, in his head, he's like, I don't want her to know that I'm not enjoying myself. Like, I want to make her like not feel like I'm a burden, basically.
Yeah.
So they're sitting on a dais. They each have their own throne. Kel's is obviously the biggest one. There are a lot of Fae women, Fae men getting introduced. And they're not feeling anything. And Dayton like looks up to the guys and he's like, you guys feeling anything? Nothing for me. But then Rosalina is introduced. And obviously she looks stunning. Okay. And this is POV Ezrin still. And Ezrin hasn't really had a lot of time with Rose.
Oh God.
A strange flutter shudders through my chest, and I feel the urge to shelter behind my throne. She's heading toward us, a bright smile on her face. Her eyes dart from one side of the throne to the other, from Kel in his royal blue regalia, a crown of ice and bone upon his head, to Farron, with a gold dust shimmering on his cheeks, to Dayton, with his legs spread wide and hands on his knees, to... Is she looking at me? Is that soft smile for me? I need to sit. The rest of them are sitting. I step back and stumble over my own boots, catching my armored heel on the edge of the throne. I fall, reaching for nothing and landing with a clatter on my ass. Ezrin, she cries. As quick as I fell, I right myself, straightening my helm and trying to lean against the throne as if I meant to do all that. And she goes, are you all right? And then he's fine. Obviously, he's just so embarrassed, which is so cute. And she just is gushing. She's like, oh my God, you guys look so amazing. I can't wait for you guys to find your mates. Like, get out there and dance. What you doing? Okay, so she's ecstatic. She's loving it. She obviously playing this whole thing, so she's super excited.
Yeah.
They all want to tell her she looks gorgeous. And Dayton is the one that obviously says that. And he goes, you look positively ravishing. A winter queen in the flesh, don't you think, Kel? And yep. Kel's eyes go like this. Okay.
Oh my God.
Then it's Farron that talks, saying, you're so beautiful, Rosalina. And then Ezrin starts to notice that the Fae at the ball are now watching her. Okay.
Oh.
And they're gossiping about her and all that because she's the only person that's been allowed to be up on the days. So he also takes a notice of Quellos, okay? Because obviously he's there and he's white knuckling his glass. So he's clearly uncomfortable, pissed, not feeling good about anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's trying to get them out to dance, pick a person, dance with them, like touch people, like smell them. Something will happen, maybe.
Smell them.
Yeah, smell them, please. Okay. They all get up except for Kel. All right. We take note that Farron is dancing with a older woman, an older Fae grandma, basically. Dayton is dancing with a couple Fae women, and then Ezrin also has a woman. Okay.
Okay.
I blink and run my hand over my visor in case my vision deceives me. No, Kel has chosen a dance partner. He walks past me, arm held aloft, clutching Rosalina's hand. It's as if the entire ballroom takes a collective breath. What in the realms is Keldarion doing with that human? People say. Kel sweeps Rosalina in his arms, and the music slows, a passionate lit filling the air. A small smile creeps over my lips. Inside, my chest eases for the first time all night. And then he says, murmuring to himself, he's dancing, I murmur, with our girl. And that's the first time Ezran has ever acknowledged Rosalina being theirs. All the other guys have acknowledged that. That's the first time. Yeah. So
that's special.
It's very special. So now we're POV Rose, and obviously she's dancing with Kel. He had said, the only person in this room I want to dance with is you. She has this inner voice, obviously, because she's so insecure and not confident. And
she's hella insecure.
Yeah, she's saying, you know, Keldarion, he'd rather debase himself and dance with you than bother to find someone better.
Oh my gosh.
Girl. And then there's a different voice that's now starting to speak.
Uh-oh.
Okay. And it says, yes to this dance. Yes to all the others. Yes to dancing through the stars, throughout the ages, throughout the realms, throughout every universe. Yes to him forever and ever and ever. So that's her other voice. Okay?
Yeah.
Then she says, you need to find your mate, Kel. Dance with someone who you feel a spark. And then he cuts her off and says, it's not a spark. It's an eternal fire that burns from deep within my heart and reaches out to you. And every moment I'm not touching you, it eats my soul inside out, tearing me apart until merely looking at you is an anguish I would only wish upon my worst enemy. Okay?
Ooh.
And she goes, just because I called you funny one time doesn't mean you can make jokes like that now. And he just says, dance with me, Rose.
Oh, what a line.
Oh, he's in love with her. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Oh, and it's so good. And he is like, you've helped me come to an important decision. Having decided, it makes me feel lighter. And she's like, what is it? And he goes, after the ball, when we're all together, I'll tell you. And then she asks, how do you like the Winter Realm? She's like, it's beautiful, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Kel admits he wants the curse to be broken for all the others, but not for him.
Oh.
And she's getting really fucking upset with him. She's like,
well, yeah.
What the fuck? And he says, breaking the curse will not bring you the freedom you seek. Only I can give you that, and I will. She's like, no, I help you break the curse, and we both get free. And he's like, Rose, lower your voice. And she's like, Kel, just try. And he goes, no, I'd rather die than have this curse be broken. And she goes, what the fuck do you mean? You can't do this. You're selfish. You know that? What about your friends? What about the people who love you? And she's like, you're a selfish bastard. And she runs from him because she is a chronic fucking runner. Okay? Stop it. She runs to the garden, and who finds her there but Quellos? Okay? Quellos is there.
God.
He is such a dick, and he is talking nasty to her the whole time she's there. Okay? And Quellos has the balls to say, how long have you been in love with Prince Keldarion? And she's like, I'm not in love with him. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. But basically, Ezran finds her and finds Quellos like really going in on her, talking some mad shit. Okay.
Oh, God.
Ezran stands up for her, which is really, really nice. And he uses his locket. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting way ahead of myself. He threatens Quellos and is like, you can't talk to the Lady of Castle Tree like that. So now she has
Lady of Castle Tree.
Yeah, she has like an official title now.
Ooh.
So Perth leaves, and Ez is like checking on her, like, are you okay? Did he hurt you? Like, what happened? And whatever. Mm-hmm. They start talking about him, his traditions. She had taken his glove off to like hold his actual hand. And that's why she started asking him about Spring's traditions. I mean, he admits that once he finds his mate, he'll be able to take his helm off in front of her, but not until then.
Okay.
So then they walk back to the ballroom and they dance together. She asks him, "What color are your eyes?" And he says, "Brown. My eyes are brown." So cute. Okay.
Mm.
But someone makes a surprise appearance, and it's
Oh no.
Caspian.
That's what
Okay.
I thought.
Ugh. He crashes the ball. Day and Farron rush to be next to Cal because he's fuming. Duh.
Yeah.
Caspian announces that he came for Rose and wants to dance with her. And he starts saying like
Mm.
hateful things to the princes. And Rose is like, okay, whatever. I'm going to defuse the situation. You want to dance with me? Fine. I'll dance with you. Okay. They dance together. And he starts saying that he's like, listen carefully, princess. Trust your own instincts above all else. The world will tell you that you don't belong, that you are a mere human, that you have no dominion over the sway of destiny. They're wrong. She's like, why should I trust anything you have to say? And he says, because, princess, I happen to be an expert on things below the surface. And
Ooh.
he goes, our dance is almost at a close. And so I'll tell you the real reason I'm here. Your precious princes are hiding something from you. The high tower you're forbidden from entering, time is running out. See it for yourself. And she goes, there's no way into high tower. And he goes, you'll find the way easier now. Trust only yourself. And then he says, our time has come to an end. Thank you for a memorable night. And then he does this. Then his tongue licks from the dip of my breast up to my neck and to my lips. Okay? And who would be so pissed that he did that? Cal.
Cal.
Cal
Cal's probably fuming.
immediately runs across or down the dais, across the dance floor to where they are, and starts wrestle fighting. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Like they're on the floor grappling with each other. And
Okay.
Caspian just says, when will you get it through your head? You're not in control. Okay? Like he's like, it's me. I'm in control. I have the briars
Yeah.
and castle tree, bitch. Like, fuck you. Okay? But yeah,
That's crazy.
now he leaves and there's murmurings of all the people of the Winter Realm that are at this ball saying, once a traitor, always a traitor. He brought the Prince of Thorns here. Caldarion allies again with the blow. He's brought the Thorns back to Winter. It's Caldarion's fault for trusting him at all. Okay? Look at this. Prince Caldarion returns after years of abandonment, only to have the Prince of Thorns ambush us. He's in alliance with the below. Here is the proof. And he's like, no, my allegiance is to the queen. And then just like there's a fight breaking out, basically, like a mob. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Farron saves her by using his blessing to open up the portal for her to go through.
Okay.
And she's commenting on how it's been a really long time. The sun is going down and they're still not back. And she's kind of freaking out. And she's thinking about Hightower. She's in her room and she closes her eyes and she can feel like a deep knowing, like the castle can hear her and understands her.
Mm-hmm.
So she asks the castle to show her the way to Hightower. And the castle moves to show her a secret entrance in her room. And she walks up the stairs to Hightower and sees the 4 roses and that they're wilting. And she's like, fuck, time is running out. And she starts digging into the soil. And at this point, she is using the thorns within the room. They're connecting with her. Okay. And she's doing magic to the roses, making them sturdier. Like she's actually giving them more time by infusing the thorns with the flowers. Like whatever magic is coming together, it's infusing and it's like doing. So a lot of stuff is happening right now. And she does it for all 3 roses. And as she gets to Kel's, that's when he fucking shows up, of course. So annoying. He's fuming.
This man.
He's like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this. You're going to make the blah, blah, blah. He's going crazy. And because he's going crazy, he's like ripping the fucking thorns that were growing or attaching to her. He's like ripping them off of her basically. And that's obviously causing the room ceiling to fall apart. And all the princes are there using their magic to try and hold this room together. And this bitch is running away. Because he's pissed at her. She's running. Okay. We're coming up to the last 100 pages of this book, basically. Okay. So she's running. She runs out of Castle Tree. She runs across the bridge into the briars, and she is running through the briar patch where all the fucking goblins are. And she's running and she's running and she falls. And she gets up and she hears all the fucking goblins. They're all talking to her. They're all like, we're going to kill the princess, blah, blah, whatever. Okay. Then she hears a voice telling her to run, but she can't. And the voice is telling her, I'm in a bit of a predicament at the moment. I can't get to you. Okay. So she starts running again, and she's getting sliced up. She's cold. It's winter time right now. Like there's snow everywhere. She's getting cuts on her. She's slowing down. The briar's getting thicker. It's harder for her to move. And then she is fully surrounded by the goblins. She is able to kill one in order to get out of her way by taking the goblin, running forward, charging at it, and basically spiking it on the thorn.
Oh my gosh. So violent.
Then she spots the rose bush that she crawled through. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's across a frozen river. And the voice tells her to stay in the briars because the briars had been moving and shifting, helping her get through. And she finally recognizes that this voice that she hears in her head is Caspian's. Okay.
Okay.
And she doesn't trust him anymore after what he did at Winter. So she starts treading the snow towards the river. And she is obviously hesitating. She had a really, really far lead from these fucking goblins, but she hesitated and now they're catching up. So she hurls herself on the ice to try and get away. And then they start surrounding her and they're taunting her and they're pulling all of her limbs in different directions. And like one of the goblins goes to stab her, but Kel shows up right in the nick of time and bites the goblin's head off that was about to stab her.
Woo!
And he's obviously in his wolf form. So now we're in POV Kel and he starts protecting her. He's trying to clear a path for her so she can continue crossing the river.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she crosses the river?
No.
Of course not. Okay.
Thank God. Okay.
I did forget to mention that Caspian did give her a crown of thorns at the winter, like during the dance. Okay.
Okay.
So this comes in handy right now as she starts to mock the goblins. She had taken her crown off and it transformed into like in my head, how I imagined it, it was kind of like brass knuckles, but with one long thorn. And she's like smashing it. She's going to smash it into the ice to take all the goblins down into the water with her so Kel can get away. Okay. So she's like wondering why she's trying to save him, but he wants to save her. So he ends up breaking the ice by him. And because it's a river, him and the goblins around him get sucked away by the water. Now we're back to POV Rose and she's freaking out. She's like, oh my God. She's trying to find him. She's walking down the river and she's like, man, like I was trying to save him. What the fuck? I know I was scared. I was so scared of like the frozen ice, but once I saw him getting surrounded by goblins, I just knew I needed to save him. And I did not care if I died, basically. Okay. So then she finds him and she has the crown and now it transforms into this like purple sword. Okay. And she's using it to crack the ice where she found Kel's body. She's cracking it. And he's kind of coming up to the surface, but he's a wolf. So he's kind of being weighed down. So he's kind of like bobbing, but she's able to like reach in and grab him. Obviously he's heavy. So she can't bring him up herself, even though she's trying really, really hard. She sees that there's black roses coming off of this briar bush by where this river is currently dammed up with all like the rocks and goblins, what have you. So she grabs a rose and it starts to like vine around her and both of her arms, and then she's able to use that vine and have it wrap around him basically in order to pick him up. Okay?
Yeah.
He's alive and he's recovering quick because he's Fae. And she is now the one needing to be saved because obviously she's human, cold, wet because she was trying to save him. So he ends up putting her on his back, taking her to a cache, which is basically like a little hideout camp that Ezra uses when he's out fighting in the Briar. So it's stocked up with a bunch of stuff that Ezra would have used. So she makes a fire because obviously he can't because he's a wolf. And he is oozing blood. Like there is a ton of blood pooling around him because he was getting fucked up by these goblins. Okay. So she's healing him with the stuff that was in the cachet box. And after she starts, wraps up all that stuff, she finds extra change of clothes. She sets her clothes that are wet out in front of the fire, and she just wrapped a blanket around her. She's like, I want to be dry before I put these clothes on. And then he calls her my Rose and tells her to come lay with him. And he starts apologizing for everything that he did. Like he's sorry for making her a prisoner. He's sorry for being so mean to her. Like he's so sorry for like dismissing her and like whatever. He's sorry for yelling at her, like all those things. And she then tells him about the time that she almost drowned in the lake, and Lucas had saved her. Okay. After she finishes telling the story, she starts drifting to sleep, but she kind of feels him kiss her head, and she doesn't know if it's a dream or not. So it's unclear if it's a dream.
Okay.
But she feels his kiss and then hears him say, there's nothing in this world I would not give up for you. No sacrifice I would not make. And then she replies, then prove it, Kel. Prove it to me. Then she wakes up. It's dark. And Kel is a human.
No, what?
Yes, he is not in his wolf form. It is still nighttime, and he is in his human body. Okay?
What the hell?
And they're spooning, because that's basically how she was laying on him as a wolf. They were like cuddling. And they're spooning, and she's like, that is a human man behind me, okay?
Yeah.
And then she kind of like wakes him up, and he puts her below him, and they're just like staring at each other. He can't believe that he's a human. And she asks him how he's able to be a man right now when it's still dark. And he freaks out, pushes off her immediately, and then walks towards like the front of the cave, immediately turns back into a wolf and is like, I'm going to go patrol the area to make sure there's no goblins coming.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
So many questions. How did he go from human to wolf? Like, what the hell just happened?
We don't know. We have no idea.
We don't know.
We have no idea. Okay.
Cool. I love being left in the dark.
Yeah. So now it's the next morning. He never came back that night. He is now cooking food in the morning. And it seems like they're just not going to talk about what happened last night. They start arguing. He says that Caspian has been watching her, and that's why the Thorns have seemed helpful, because she was thinking something else. And then Kel's like, he's following you. He wants you, and I will not let him have you. Don't you see? That's why you must go home. And she's thinking, yeah, if we go home, there's Thorns there too. What's the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
Kel breaks the bargain. He is letting her go, and he brings her to the rose bush. Okay? She is begging him to let her stay. Please, please, please. Like, this is my home now. Like, I don't want to, like, I want to stay here and help you guys and whatever. I don't want to leave. She goes on a mini rant that ends with this. I couldn't find you when you'd fallen under the ice, but a light bloomed in my chest and it led me straight to you. I can still feel it even now. Kel, you can send me away, but I will always find my way back to you. And then he says, Rosalina. And then she goes, am I your mate? And then he kisses her. Finally! But as he's kissing her, because he kind of like picked her up a little bit to kiss her.
Yeah.
He's slowly walking her back towards the book.
Oh no.
Okay? And then he basically pushes her through the tunnel. Okay.
No.
And then he says, "This way is close to you forevermore."
No.
And as she's falling through the vines and the brambles, when he let go, the rose bush frosts over and it dies and disappears. And she can't find it anymore. It's gone.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No.
I know. Okay. And here's the last chapter. It's POV Caspian. Okay.
Oh.
He's visiting Kel in his room. And he's busting Kel's balls, commenting that, the sun is up and you're still a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's clear she's broken you, hasn't she? And she's been gone for a month at this point. And he's like, Caspian says, "Of course you'd send her away. You were always dramatic when it came to love." And then Kel's wolf lunges at Caspian and knocks him on his back to the ground. And Caspian says, "It's been a long time since you've had me on my back like this, Kel."
Oh my god.
And then Kel says, "I'll rip you to shreds." And Caspian says, "Oh, Kel, we both know if you were capable of that, you'd have done it the first time I betrayed you." And then Kel says, "Break it, please, Cass." Caspian says, "Never. Our convenient will never break, because one day he will give in to Rosalina, and when he does, I can't wait for the magic of our bargain to drop his mate right at my doorstep." And that is how
Oh.
that book ends.
Oh my god. That's why
Yeah.
he's been like putting it off for so long, because he's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
We can infer from this
Mm-hmm.
bargain that any woman Kel would sleep with would automatically get sent to the below to be
Just like
Caspian's forever.
just how like Caspian's
Was
people
sending,
always get sent. Oh my
well,
god.
yeah, because it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
And now you can infer that the relationship between Caspian and Kel are.
Well, definitely sexual in some point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I mean, I could infer that from like the first time we met Caspian, but like
Now
that's
it's
just so
solidified.
evil. Yeah,
Yeah,
that just solidified. It was so evil of a
I
bargain.
know.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Poor Cal, man.
devastating. And
Yeah, absolutely devastating.
when I tell you I finished that first book, I immediately started the second book and I was like, holy shit. Because the second
Oh
book,
my
thank
god.
God, we're POV Rose. And we get to see
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on with her. Because obviously it's been a month.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm sure she's not doing super hot because yeah, she's probably it's giving a new moon when Bella like Edward ran away
Oh
from
my
Bella.
God. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And we don't even see the reactions yet of the other guys because the other guys have no idea that Kel has sent her back yet.
Well, from the last chapter, we know it's been a month, but yeah, we don't get
Well,
any
no, yeah.
insight
We
into
don't have
when
insight
that.
yet
Yeah,
because they weren't there originally. That's crazy,
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
they're gonna be pissed.
she did make a comment with like, I need to tell the guys goodbye. Like, I need to tell
Yeah.
she didn't, and she couldn't say bye to Marigold or Astrid. And like, yeah,
Oh,
devastating.
that's
So,
heartbreaking.
yeah,
Oh my goodness. Holy cow. What a roller coaster.
I
That
know.
second book is going to be I can't
Yeah.
believe this is a whole series. I can't even describe like I can't even figure out like what a whole series of this would be.
Oh, dude, it gets wild. Like,
Oh, I'm
kind of
sure.
similar to like ACOTAR, where the first
Hmm.
book, it's very similar. She
Yeah.
has her problems, whatever. She gets, well, she got taken by Tamlin.
Yeah.
Then she slowly starts being okay with being where she is,
Mm-hmm.
kinda, even though she still really wants to go home. Hot men are surrounding her. She meets
Yeah.
Reese. When she gets sent back, she tries really hard to find her way back and then is trying to break the curse as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, it's
And
the
then the
same
second book is
outline of this.
like, yeah, and like that second book is basically like, her kind of finding herself in her new
Yeah,
Fae body and all that stuff. So it's not at
that's crazy.
all how this second book is going to be. I can tell you that for sure. There's no
That's
like,
a
yeah, because it's
crazy.
kind of
Yeah.
like the end. Like I feel like the end of this first book is it's very much setting you up for what is actually happening to Rosalina. And
Yeah.
obviously now she's with her dad. Are they both going to be crazy Fae people now?
Yeah. Is he, I feel like he's going to keep her inside and just question her nonstop, which is going to be so horrible
And
for
then
her
what
because
about
she's like
Lucas
grieving.
in the proposal? Because she never gave
Oh,
an answer.
God. He probably told people she died. Like, yeah, she died. Like, that's
Oh
why
no.
she.
Never went back for her.
Oh, God. That's just
Uh
crazy.
yeah.
Well, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an absolute roller coaster. I have a shorty but a goodie today. It's going to be really straightforward, but I think some of the best like horror novels are like novellas. It just
Okay.
obviously depends, but this is kind of a novella. So today I'm doing A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. And when I say short, I mean it's 110 pages. It's tiny,
Ugh, sounds
but
crazy.
it packs such a punch and tons of horror readers read this book. So it's technically classified as like fantasy fiction, which
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the setting is in like hell or whatever, but there's nothing
Mm.
fantasy to it. There's no like fae, dragons. It's not fantasy. Like I said,
Okay.
it's
It's
also
just because
considered
it's
horror.
like in another realm,
Yeah,
basically.
kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah, like a different world. So a lot, like I said, a lot of horror readers read this one. And it's because it's not a traditional horror. There's no gore, there's no violence necessarily, but it's going to make you think, and it's going to make you think very eerie thoughts, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
think so many people consider it horror. So
Yeah.
trigger warnings. There's not a lot of trigger warnings for this because it's not too crazy. The only ones I have is there are events that can be depicted as suicide, but are not suicide. And I'll explain what
Mm.
that means. And if you are somebody who is very like devout to your religion and get very offended easily when any other possibility is mentioned, then like this is not a book for you. I know
Nope.
people who are like, I don't think any of those people are listening, but just in case you're like, I don't want to hear any other viewpoints, I'm like, okay, then may not be the story for you. So
Mm.
we start this book in a corporate looking office, and we meet this man named Soren. So Soren in his lifetime was a very devout Mormon, geologist, family man. He's pretty straightforward, and he has died and is now in hell. So
Ooh, okay.
he didn't die in like, they never tell us how he died, but it's like to be expected that he died just of like natural causes. Like he lived
Okay.
his life, he died, and now he's in hell. So he's in a corporate looking office with a demon behind a desk. Depicted behind him are kind of like what we think of hell, like people getting tortured and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he's sitting in this office, and the demon's like, "Hey, welcome to hell." And he's like, "Okay, why am
Checking
I
in?
here?" Yeah, I know, right? He's like, "Why am I here? I like was a devout Mormon my whole life." And the demon's like, "Oh, yeah. So you only go to heaven if you get the correct like you devout yourself to the correct religion. And Mormonism was not the correct religion."
Mm.
And he's like,
Okay.
"Okay, what was the correct religion, if you don't mind me asking?" And he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't, be bummed out that you didn't get it right because only a handful of humans did. And it was like these villages out in the middle of nowhere." He goes, "The correct religion is," so I don't think this is a real religion. So I'm going to butcher the name on
Okay,
accident, but
great.
it's like Zoroastrianism,
Oh, perfect.
something that's like crazy. And he's
Yeah.
like, and this guy, Ahriman, is our one true God or whatever. He's like,
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
you were
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. Everyone's wrong. And so he's like, to get to heaven, you got to go through hell and learn your lesson. And he's like, wait, I'm here for eternity, right? And he goes, no, you're not here for eternity. Like, we're just going to put you somewhere. You're going to learn your lesson. And once you finish your lesson, you'll go to heaven just like everyone else. And he's like,
Oh,
okay, that
that's
sounds easy
nice.
enough. Cool. So then he's like, well, hell looks different for every person. So we have to find your hell. And the demon's looking through his file and he's like, oh, I see here you like to read when you were alive. And Soren's like, yeah, I was a reader. And he goes, perfect. We're going to put you in the library. So I don't know about you. A library does not sound like hell to me.
Yeah,
So
that actually sounds pretty nice.
it sounds pretty nice. So the demon goes, here's your deal when it comes to your hell. He goes, I'm going to put you in a library. The way to get out is you have to find the book that tells your life story. It can have no spelling errors and no grammatical errors, but you have to find the book that has your whole story with no errors. And he's like, that's it. And he's like, that's it. Just go to the library, find your story. We're done. So he gets transported to this library, and I'm going to kind of set up the way this library looks because it's kind of crazy. So there are seemingly infinite amount of rows of shelves, and there's also seemingly infinite amount of floors. Like there is no end to how many floors there are. There's no end to any rows. And in the middle, there's this like big atrium / like chasm that if you like look over the rail, you'll just see it going straight into a pit basically.
Okay,
but
so
shows,
basically the library, the House of Wind.
Yes, exactly. But like I said, up and down, there's just infinite amounts of floors. Just like it never seems to end. So that's one thing about the library. At the end of the day at the library, because it runs on a regular day, all the books go back to their original spots. So if you took out like all these books and like threw them around and stuff, it'll go back to their places at the end of the day.
Okay.
Every 30 feet, there are warm beds and clean bathrooms. So like no matter where you go in this library, every 30 feet, there's a place for you to sleep. There's a place for you to go to the bathroom. There's machines that dispense any food or beverage you want.
Okay.
So like you can literally be like, I want a steak dinner. It'll give you a steak dinner. If you are killed in any form, like if somehow you're, I don't know, like someone kills you or tries to, or you try to kill yourself, you're automatically revived because you're in hell. You're not like, yeah. And then on top of that, there's like other people there. So there's like a ton of other people. It's not just him and he's the only one there and the only one doing this task. There's a bunch of other people there who are also doing this task.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound terrible.
No.
I mean, you have all of your basic needs. You have people there.
Yeah.
You have a goal. So it doesn't sound crazy. However, he automatically grabs a book, pulls it off the shelf, opens it, and realizes that the whole book is a jumble of symbols and letters and numbers. There's not even a cohesive word in the book. Ooh. So he starts pulling these off the shelf and he's seeing every single one of them is kind of like that. There's just no cohesive rhyme or rhythm to it. So as we go through the book, he kind of starts creating this life for himself in a way. He goes through like years at a time when he's in like a relationship with somebody. You know, he meets all different kinds of people. There's people who have like these gangs and kind of go after other people.
Hell?
Yeah, so in this like how like it's kind of like a free for all in a sense.
Okay.
So, you know, there's a bunch of things that happens. He also gets like drunk in a sense, so he like asks the machine for all these drinks. He gets drunk, but it doesn't have like the same effect that it did on Earth.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
It takes him like 15 years to find a book with an actual word in it, like a singular word. And it's like some short 3-letter word that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then there's people, this is where the depiction of suicide comes in. There's some people who get so frustrated that they're not finding their book that they jump into the chasm.
I kind of figured that. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting about it is, again, it's infinite amounts of floors. So they're not falling to anywhere. They're just falling for like however long they decide to stay in there. So at one point, like he jumps off and he falls for like 3 years. You know, every time he like dies of hunger, he is revived. Every time he like hits the side on accident, he's revived. Like he just falls for years at a time. So he goes through these years where like, you know, he's in a relationship, then he's falling, then he's looking again, and he's just there for what seems like such a long time. So this is kind of where I'm going to say like, hey, if you want to read it before I give like ending spoilers, just because regardless of knowing the spoilers or not, I still think it's a good book to read. Regardless.
Yeah, it sounds interesting just from like the beginning.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the most interesting things I've ever read. But in the end, he never finds his book. We kind of leave him on this. He's been there for so many years and he's just nowhere near finding this book. So obviously this book, like I said before, is not a traditional horror in a sense where like you're not necessarily scared, but it makes you really uncomfortable for like a number of reasons. And
Oh
these are
yeah.
like the reasons that like made me think when I was reading this book. So like my first thing was, if your religion or belief, like, are your religion or beliefs correct, and what if they're wrong? So
Yep.
like that's a big thing. I know your religious beliefs, you know mine. And no matter what you believe in, you kind of have to think to yourself, like, what if I'm wrong? Like, what happens? And I have a belief on that. I know other people do, but that was one thing I thought about. Like, this guy was a, from what we see in the book, he was a seemingly like good dude on earth, but obviously, like in this particular universe, that wasn't enough. So the other thing it made me realize was the hell that Soren is put into does not sound torturous or scary up front. In fact, it seems like a completely possible task that takes forever to do. So it's kind of like the sense of, as humans, like we want instant gratification in a
Yeah.
sense. And the fact that we never get gratification because he just doesn't find his book in a time that is comprehensible to us. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing is, he has an infinite amount of time and he has all his basic needs met. He even has like a social life in a sense, but like
Right.
that's not enough. And it's interesting to think, even in our own lives, even though like we have, like you and I both have all of our basic needs met, we have a social life, everything like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
is that really enough? Or
Yeah.
is there like a part of us that needs to be fulfilled for us to like make life worth it?
Right.
And then the last thing is, you really need to rethink what hell means, because I think a lot of religions out there depict it as like, fire and torture and all that fun
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I think everybody's hell is so different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Good Place. Like, have you ever seen The Good Place?
I was just thinking about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
I
really good way
loved
to think
that
of it.
show.
I even was explaining this book to my dad, and what cracked me up is he was like, my absolute hell, he's like, if I like was in this scenario, would probably be Magic Kingdom in the middle of the summer. Like, I was just there all the time and it was always busy and always hot.
And he has to
Because my dad,
search for the one hidden Mickey that has
I
never
know,
been
right?
found.
You have to search for the rare hidden Mickey. Oh God, that poor man. But it just really makes you think. So, like I said,
Yeah.
this book wasn't long. It was a kind of a shorty, but I still wanted to do it because it's still such an interesting way to think, and it's gonna make you feel uncomfortable, which I
Yeah.
think a lot of
Yeah.
horrors try to do, is just make you feel uncomfortable. So,
I think you would really like one of my favorite books is The Story of Ourself and Others.
oh, okay.
And there is one book in there. It's a bunch of short stories. So in that book, there's a story about the Tower of Babylon. And
You
I
told me
think
about
I've
this and I
told you
have
about
read it.
this.
So the whole book, I actually couldn't make it through the whole book. I could only read the story you suggested because
Yeah.
the rest of the story sucked. But
Oh.
I did read, no, I don't know why. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I DNF'd the rest of it. But I did read the Babylon story, and that
Yeah.
was really interesting.
And it's kind of similar to this hell one,
Yes.
where it's like similar to the religion. They're trying to build the Tower of Babylon all the way up to the heavens. People
Mm-hmm.
are dying and being born in different levels
Yeah.
of this tower. And
Yeah.
at
It's
the
one of
end, you
those
don't get
ones.
the satisfaction, like how this
No.
guy doesn't get his satisfaction either.
And usually I don't like things that don't have a conclusive ending, but I didn't
Yeah.
mind with this one. But yeah, this is one of the most mild things I'll do. I will warn everyone that next week I am doing a very, very, very dark story. I'm doing it for a
Mm.
reason. I even told my friend I went to coffee with today that I was doing this, and she was like, "Oh God, that book." And I was like,
Oh God.
I have my reasons, but it
Yeah.
is incredibly dark and has like a shit ton of trigger warnings. But so I wanted to do something a little light and
Light.
just make you think before I, and I won't always, like I said, always do dark, dark, dark ones, but this one it's one of my favorites. I feel
Mhm.
like it's another book that makes you think, which I love. So I'm excited about it. But
Yeah.
that was a short stay in hell, and I definitely think, whether you know the ending or not, you should definitely read it. It gets you thinking. I absolutely love this book. It's one of my
Hell yeah.
favorites. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I think on
Okay.
Goodreads it said like 4.2. So I'm not the only
Okay.
one who thinks it's good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's good. A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people are like, hell yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a hard read. It's 110 pages. Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess
Cool.
next week we will get into your second book, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll keep it into one part, but no promises
I'm
there
about to
with
say no
that.
promises.
Yes.
Not with how long fantasy books can get.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
totally get that.
These
There's
books are
just so many.
long. So,
Oh, yeah, I can only
yeah.
imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we will see you guys next week.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye-bye.